The good member from the 35th District, Representative Couture, to move the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move Amendment 774.
It's been moved and seconded that amendment number 774 be adopted. Remarks, Representative Couture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This amendment does a few things. It removes the emergency clause and moves the effective date back to July of 2024. And then it requires WISIP to look into and study and analyze and collect data around some of the compliance concerns and which state agency is best suited for this, and also if there's any liability concerns for the state of Washington. Now, I think one very critical part of this amendment is which state agency is the correct agency to do such a task. Now, I understand that Department of Corrections operates somewhat of a pharmacy for their inmates right now, but what this underlying bill is trying to establish is trying to turn our Department of Corrections into a wholesale pharmacy for the state of Washington. And Madam Speaker, as a program manager, I often use the term scope creep, or as some people might know it as mission creep. And is this the intent of us, Madam Speaker, and the legislature and the citizens of the state of Washington to turn Department of Corrections into a pharmacy for the state of Washington? Now, Madam Speaker, I have a lot of concerns about this because, as the good member of the 31st pointed out, we have concerns whether DOC can already do its current roles that it has established right now. And it's very concerning to me as I hear from many of the constituents that work in prisons in my district and across the state that there is not working security cameras in many of the cell blocks, that many of the workers during this workforce shortage do 100-hour work weeks and sleep on cots in the break room, Madam Speaker. And as Department of Corrections is also tasked to place sexually violent predators into our communities, this money that we're spending here now could have been used to put those sexually violent predators in more secure locations and counties across Washington state. And Madam Speaker, I will just say that I think we really do need this amendment because we do need to take a pause and be responsible and find out who is the correct state agency to do such a task, urging a yes vote. Thank you.
The good member from the 35th District, Representative Couture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This debate tonight is about the correct roles and responsibilities in the scope of our state agencies. It's also about the respect for our legislative process and our legislative authority and powers and the separation of those powers. It's also, Madam Speaker, about the respect for our judicial system and the rule of law. Now, you could put any pill into this bill, and the result would still be the same. We do not believe that the Department of Corrections should be a wholesale.
Representative Couture, you should speak to your own beliefs and not attribute yours to others. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, I certainly believe that the Department of Corrections should not be a wholesale pharmacy exempted from a license for the people of the state of Washington. And I also believe, and I'm a freshman here, Madam Speaker, but it became very clear to me as I sit on the House Appropriations Committee that when we heard the governor's proposed budget, that it was an ask. The governor is asking us for this money because we write the laws and we appropriate the money. And we don't, where do we draw the line in the sand, Madam Speaker? What if the governor put out a contract for spending emergency money for $1 billion or $2 billion? Where do we draw that line in the sand? We should say together, Madam Speaker, as a body, me and you, that no, we appropriate the money and we write the laws. And we have a process where we listen to constituents and stakeholders and hold hearings before policy cutoff and vote those things out of committee and then vote them into our budget and then vote for our budget. But that's not what happened. This process was reversed on its head on April 4th when this money was spent, and now here we are appropriating money that was spent in the executive branch. Money that, Madam Speaker, could have been used for far better things in the Department of Corrections, things that are suffering right now. Our workforce in the Department of Corrections, our facilities and security cameras in the Department of Corrections. Madam Speaker, it doesn't matter what this bill is about. This is about us. This is about our legislative authority, and we should stand up for ourselves, especially after 3 years of what many believe is executive branch overreach during the pandemic. Thank you.